Hey, welcome everybody to the Salty Yak Outdoors Podcast, episode number 186. I'm your host, Kerry Beeson, and today we are talking about how I scout and plan for upcoming hunting trips out west. So I am not a free spirit. I am not the guy that can just pick up and go and not have any plan and just take it as it comes. I'm the planner. And up until about 4 years ago, I had not done any out west hunting because I was paralyzed by my fear of the unknown. I didn't know where to go or what I would encounter or any of that. But 4 years ago, I discovered that using the computer that I can plan to go places that I have never been before. Now, having a plan doesn't mean it's always going to work out just right. It doesn't always happen. Twice last year we did a cow elk hunt. Where we found the elk was not where we planned. In fact, we found them in a totally different part of the unit. The bow hunt that we did last year went to one unit. It didn't pan out, and then we bounced to a different unit, found deer, had a good time. So having a plan doesn't always mean it's going to work out. You have to be flexible. But I love to plan. I'm the planner in the group. I plan all of my trips, or all of the trips that we're doing as a group. I plan the meals. I plan everything. I love it. Every day I'm on the computer looking at places that we're going, places I want to go. Every day I'm using this to plan our upcoming trips, right? So first thing I'm going to show you is how satellite imagery is not always, or it's not all created equal, okay? I use Google Earth, I use OnX, and I use Go Hunt along with a website called TopoZone. Now, the first three I'm going to show you is just how the satellite imagery is different, and it's different in the fact that it's taking at different times. Now, I use all of them to verify what is at that place. Like we'll be talking like access, how to find roads to get in there. Are the roads open? Can you drive down those roads? We'll talk about that, but that's how I use all three of these. We're going to dive into here, and I'm going to show you right quick just how the imagery is different. I'm going to use my farm as the test case and show it to you right quick how the imagery is just not the same. All right, what I'm going to use here is my farm. Y'all heard me talk about this place a lot. So here is my farm, and as you can see, we're on OnX Hunt here. And when we zoom in, here's the farmhouse, here's the old barn, here's my shed. There's the old deer stand. That's important. Another thing important is the fishing pier down here on the pond. So when you look here at the house, you'll see that this big oak tree is still standing and alive. That's key to note. So look at this, and I know that this image is several years old, right? So when we go to Google Earth, here's the farm. Looks like springtime probably. I look here. Oh, the oak tree is dead. It is blown over. Thank God it blew this way and didn't blow on top of the house. But here's the dead oak tree. And when we go down here, oh, looky here. There's two fishing piers now, and this one has been rebuilt. That's my fish feeder right there on the end of it. So we go down here and we look. Oh, looky here. Here's that brand new Taj Mahal deer stand that I'm obviously in the process of building in this picture. So I know that this picture was last spring or summer, right? I go to Go Hunt. And again, here's the farm. We see that the tree is still standing. So it's a little older picture. There's the fishing pier. You can see that the tank is pretty low, but the fishing pier hasn't been rebuilt, and there's not the second fishing pier there. We go down here. There's the old deer stand. Oh, look, there's a black Toyota Tundra. I wonder who that is. So this is the oldest picture. This would be the next to oldest picture. And this is the most recent picture. So I use all of these so I can confirm, as you'll see when we're planning, I can confirm what is there. All right. So when I'm planning a hunting trip, I start off with OnX. Now, we talked about that. That's a paid app. It's $100 a year, and I get all 50 states. There's Go Hunt. That's a paid app. I use it more for my research of units and draws and that kind of thing. But they've got some mapping stuff, and I like to look at their map because it gives me a different perspective. I use Google Earth because it is the most recent pictures of probably the area that you're going to. And then we'll talk about Topo Zone and exactly why I like it and what I use it for. So I use all of those to start off scouting and planning my hunt. So we're going to dive off here in the computer, and I'm going to show you these. We're actually going to use a unit in not Arizona. We're going to use a unit in New Mexico as our test. There's our test unit to kind of just like show you how all of this goes. So let's dive off in this computer and show you how I scout and plan for my hunts out west. Okay, so here we are at this unit in New Mexico. A couple things I want to cover off on right quick. I use color coding for my waypoints. So, different colors mean different things to me, which I would highly recommend that you do that. Number two, you're able to create folders for different I use different units, right? But I also did a little pre-work on this podcast. I made some folders just so I could have some stuff marked already. We didn't have to spend a bunch of time looking around marking stuff. And another reason that I love Go Hunt is I can do an offline download of this unit and put it on my cell phone. And that way, if I don't have cell service when I get out here, I still can use my phone as a GPS. Another great thing I love about OnX is as I put waypoints on this, it automatically goes to my phone. So when I open my phone, all of these waypoints will already be there. All right, so let's just dive off into this. So we're looking at this unit, and I always like to try to find units that have wilderness area. So if you see this area here that has this striation in it, that is wilderness area. Now, there's a bunch of layers you can turn on. So we're going to go to New Mexico, and I have the government land turned off right now. I'm going to turn it on. So as you can see, this green is national forest. This light gray is state lands, and the yellow is BLM land. Okay, just so you keep a reference of what kind of land you're looking at. We'll close this out. So you see we have a bunch of national forest here. We got some state land. There's some BLM way over here. There's some more national forest down here. So there's a lot of public land. That's another thing I look for. Is there a lot of public land, and what is the access like to get into these places? So I like wilderness areas. I like areas that don't have roads. So if we go back here to the layers, right quick, there's a bunch of layers on here. One of them I use under this trees, crops, and soil is historic wildfires. So when it throws it up there, shades it, and it'll tell you. If you click on it, it'll tell you, and a lot of times you can see it right here, that some of this is a 2021 fire, and this other, it didn't pull it up, but if I click, it'll tell me that this Little Bear fire was in 2012. So all of this light yellow here was burned in 2012. So those really, that's like third or fourth level when I start looking at, because, where this old burn meets this new timber, that edge area could be pretty good. So you notice there's a big orange spot right here in the middle of this unit. That is a current fire that is going on there. So currently there's a big, huge swath in the middle of this unit that is burning or has burned. So let's go back here. We're going to turn off the historic wildfires just to make, and you could turn off, like we can go in here and you could turn off the state colors to make it a little more clearer. So we'll go back in here to New Mexico, and we'll turn off that and make it look a little bit more clearer. So now, first thing I want to look for, well, let's back up here. Like I said, I like roadless areas. So we know that there's going to be no roads in this wilderness area. But if you go back over here to, I think it's wildlife areas. Nope, not wildlife areas. Yeah, let's go back down here. Roads and trails. Roads and trails, roadless areas. So if I click that, it's going to highlight all the roadless areas in this purple color. So I know that there's no roads in this purple color. Now, if you see there's red block stuff, that's private, right? I always like to leave that on because I like to know where all the private is. So, but you see there's big areas outside of the wilderness unit that have no roads. But we come back here and I want to look for how do I get into this unit? And I've already pre-marked some, so we will go to the access points. So you can actually hide these waypoints if you want to from different units. And I will turn this one on and boom, there they are. So doing some looking here. So we have some major roads. This Highway 37 that comes in here, Highway 48, and there's looks like a major paved highway that's here. So that gets us kind of around the unit. So I put a little green access point. And I make it green because I know that that's a public road that I can drive down. So you can see I have some other ones here. And I use this little trail symbol here to mark trailheads. There's not an actual trailhead icon on this one on OnX, but that's what I use because I want to know where the trailheads are. I want to know where I can put it. Now, obviously, we probably don't want to go to this trailhead right here because it's in the middle of the burn. So we look down here. Here's one. We can zoom in. And as you can see, there's a lot of people using this trailhead. Could be good, could be bad, but we know that there's a trailhead here. There's a campground here that we can use if we want to use this as a launching point. So I just go through the unit and I start digging around. See, I got a couple more little launch point trailheads here. And as I'm flying around the unit and looking at it, anytime I see water, campsites, I'm marking them at the same time, right? So as you see up here, I have this access in yellow because I'm not exactly sure if this is going to be public access. As you see that this road comes through some private, says there's a gate there. Well, it's a named road, so it's probably okay. It says Highway 54, but at some point, where does that road end? Now you can see, so if you kind of look here, you think this is a little mountain range right here, and there's lots of access and lots of activity on this side of it. There's not a whole lot of access and or activity on this side of it. Here's another road that I've got marked that is possible access. It looks like there's probably a lot of people driving down that road, so it's probably okay, but it's not 100%. Something that I had learned that if the road is a named road, it's probably okay. 2, if it starts on public or connects to a major highway, it's probably okay. And sometimes, let's see here. Let's go. So we're looking at this this road right here. Let's go to Google Earth. And this is another reason I like Google Earth. Now, this could be a little harder to find here. Give me a minute. Where are we at? See, there's a big road there. Road. So I think, Jake Springs, let's see. Yes, same place. So I can come in here. Let's see if it does it. Yes. So if I do the little this is like the street view. Go down here. I could actually look and see oh yeah, it's going to be a public road. So another thing I noticed when I clicked that street view, man, it goes all the way up here to the end. So I could go back up here. This comes in really handy looking at this stuff. Another reason I love Google Earth. And we can get an actual look. Man, that looks like a good solid road that goes back up in there. But how far does that road go back up in there? Does it stop here at this ranch house? Does it keep on going? It looks like maybe you could work your way around and keep on going. Sometimes this stuff you just have to go see in person, right? But this, if it does work, man, if you can follow that road all the way through, it comes all the way back up in here to this back side. So that's what I'm looking for access points. I have a red one down here because this is a campground. And last I checked, I can't talk today. This campground was closed. So I don't know if you could still use the trailhead or not. I would hope you could. But the campground was closed. So that's why that one's in red. So we've got some access. We've got some ideas of where we can try to get into this unit. So let's go back to my content and campsites. So there's a couple things about these campsites. Oh, I didn't turn it on, did I? Back to my content, campsites. You got to turn it on. So you can see I have a bunch of campsites marked. Now these are twofold. So we'll zoom in on this road down here. And you can see bunches of people camping, right? Bunches of people camping. Now this is probably September elk hunters and deer hunters in here. Now that tells me two things. One, that Eagle Lodge Road is a public road. Well, I guess three things. There's camping on there, and that's a really good road because you start looking at these campsites, and there's people that are pulling trailers in here. So if they're pulling trailers and motorhomes and everything else down that road, you know that's a really good road that you can access, at least come in here and get to these trailheads, right? Same thing up here. So if we get up here, we notice all of these little red tents, and that's because there's people that are camping there. And again, we see that there's trailers, so we know that this Nogle Canyon is a really good road. So we can probably drive that road in almost any weather conditions to get back in here if we want to. So these yellow campsites, again, yellow means that we might not be able to get there. They might not be a real thing. Now this one here, because we talked about this road here coming in, this one's interesting in the fact you can kind of see the gray dotted line right here. So this is the wilderness area, but you can see where the road comes in. It looks like there's a little loop right here. You know, maybe somebody had been camping right here. So maybe this is a good road to come in on, that you could use it. Now you can tell by the road, maybe it's a little rougher road. You ain't pulling no camper up this one. You might want to make sure you got some four-wheel drive. I don't know. But that's something to keep in mind. But I'm thinking this one's probably be a good one. And that puts you on, look at this huge area over here where there's no roads. Now, these are hiking trails, right? So if I click on that hiking trail that's lit up, it'll give me some info on it. 3.5 miles from there all the way up to the crest. That's a pretty good little jaunt back up in there. But if you wanted to stay away from everybody, man, that could be a really good spot. I've got another spot right here that there's a little road that comes up here right to the edge of the wilderness. It looks like people had been driving down here and stopping. So this maybe could be another camping spot if we wanted to access. Now we notice that there's no trails here, right? So it's all going to be hiking across country. And here's another little one here where it looks like people come up. I think the road actually stops right here, but it looks like people are coming up here. And then there's the trailhead there where you can start hiking into this wilderness area. So when I'm looking for campsites, that's kind of what I'm looking at, right? Where can we park and get on a trailhead and hike in, set up camp, and operate out of that. My last layer on here, let's go to my content, is the glassing. Oh, remember to turn it on. So as I'm looking around this unit, I'm looking, I said the roads, and I'm looking for camp spots. Where are other people camping? And then I start breaking down the unit. Okay, where can I go to get, good glassing points? So I have one here. Remember we talked about this road being a good road. Well, there's a hiking trail here. And there's the trailhead. You hike up here. And I've got part of this marked because here is the glassing point. Now, I hadn't mentioned it yet, but obviously, if you played with this before, you'll know that you can go 3D, which helps. And you can see here how there's a big ridge line through here, and this is a big peak on that ridge line, right? So I laid this trail here. That's what the red line is a trail that I laid. And it tells me that's 1 mile and 1,100 feet of elevation gain from there to the spot right here. So there's still there's still 0.3 of a mile back to the truck. So it's over a mile to get up to that glassing point. Well, that could be very good because we know that a lot of people, they don't want to hike a mile back in there, right? So that could be a good place. And another thing, now there's a couple ways to do this on your glassing points. So you can kind of zoom in and get an idea of what you can look at, right? Well, there's this neat little tool over here. It's called Terrain X. You click on it. Oh, is it not going to let me do it here? I hate when it does that. All right, we'll get out of that. We'll click over here to Google Earth instead. Google Earth will kind of let you do the same thing. So this No-Gal Peak is what we're talking about. I go 3D. 3D. And I can kind of zoom in here and holding my control button down, I can kind of look around that peak. Now you can kind of see where this is a lot more open. And then you can see it's a lot more timbered on this other side. Kind of pull back. Here's the peak. And it gives you an idea of what you can see if you're up here on this peak, right? We noticed that when we're up here on this peak, there's hiking trails. So we could get on this peak and we can stay high and hike down this ridge, looking off both sides for deer or elk. So I will spend days doing this, looking at all this stuff on OnX, and then I'll flip it over to Google Earth and kind of come in here. What I love about Google Earth, it really gives me a feel, streams and stuff. Now, if you go back to Go Hunt, and I'm going to drop back to 3D or 2D, something that I like to flip back to is the straight topo map. The straight topo map helps me find water a lot easier, especially like these named springs and stuff. It helps me find that stuff. And sometimes it makes the roads easier to see too, because you're not looking at all that satellite imagery. You can kind of really see where the roads are. So I will flip back between the topo in the 3D, in the 2D, as I'm scouting all of this stuff. So as I'm doing this, this is like step 1 and step 2. Step 1 would be finding the roads and access points. Step 2 would be finding camp spots and glassing points. Step 3, I'm coming in here and I'm looking for water. So I hadn't dropped a pin for y'all. Let me drop a pin for you. So you know how it's really simple to set a waypoint. So we go in here and we look at this, and you know what, let's do this. So I like to confirm, right? Let's just find one. I guess we'll just use that one. So go here on Google Earth, and we're going to switch back to 2D. And usually Google Earth will tell you the spring. So it says Skull Spring and Devil Spring. If I go back to here, there's Skull Canyon. So I'm going to guess that this is Devil Springs right here. So I'll look at it. What's it look like here? Is there water there? Maybe, maybe not. If we go back here, look at it. So this is obviously a picture that's in the fall. Maybe, maybe not. But what I will do is I'll click on it, add a waypoint. I'll do the water source, and I'll make this in like the turquoise, because to me that means it's an unknown water source. So if I find a pond or I find a guzzler or a windmill in here, then I mark that with, if I know it's going to be a good water source, probably there always is water there, then I will mark it with a blue. But then, I just kind of fly around the unit after I have marked all this stuff and see what I can find. Now, I do find it easier to find stuff on Google Earth. Put it in the 3D image, and I'll literally go canyon to canyon. Here's Turkey Spring. What's up here? That could be something. But I will literally fly, and then you just kind of have to flip back and forth and find it. And same thing with the Google Earth, or not Google Earth, Go Hunt. You can go to 3D. It'll switch us over to 3D. Let it catch up a second. Come on. Oh, this one's a little different. You got the controls to go up and down and to change the tilter. Over here, you don't use the keyboard, which can be helpful. But then you can get it to where you want it. You click the arrows, and then you can kind of fly around and kind of look at it. Give you an idea of what it looks like. Use all three of them. Now, I mentioned one that I hadn't showed you yet. Let's go to here. We'll go to Topo Zone. Now it says Arizona, but that's just the one we're going to go do. And I will turn this on to full screen, because we're going to go to New Mexico, and we're going to zoom in right here. So this is an interesting one because you can get several different versions. Top right-hand corner. So this is the USGS national map. So if you're used to looking at this type of map, you have it right here on your screen where you can kind of zoom in. And this gives you a lot of the names and stuff, and it can be really helpful finding stuff. The other one, so it has back roads. You can come in here, and I use this a lot to confirm, especially when you get back on these little back roads and these little back trails, is there actually a road there or not? They have their version of the topo map, which is a lot of detail in it if you want to dive down that trail, if you like looking at those. The other one I like is trails. Again, it just gives me more information. Is there roads going into that area? So we were talking about, this back area over here. what is it? So it shows those roads coming in there. So that definitely could be a place to go check out, because it's actually showing those roads on here. And then they have their own version of satellite. I do like it, but the limitations on this one is that's as close as you can zoom in, right? And you can't do 3D on this one. But it does give you a different look. I mean, you can really see here on this one where all this old burn was here. There's less timber, and there's a lot more timber on would be the west side of that ridge than there is on the east side of that ridge. So I could certainly see working your way down this ridge, glassing off both sides, bugling off both sides, and trying to find out where those elk are. So we've talked about how I use Google Earth and how I use Go Hunt and OnX, Topo in the Topo Zone, how I use all of that to research. So there's it's the internet, right? There's a huge amount of information out there. Now, something to keep in mind is if it's out here on the internet, there's other people that have searched it and are looking at the same information that you are. You just have to kind of decipher it and take it with a grain of salt. Something that I use, a little trick, a little hack, I don't know what you want to call it, is I will go and join some of these Facebook groups, and let's just see Utah camping, because sometimes you can glean little pieces of information from some of these other Facebook groups. These campers, they love to talk about where they're camping, and a lot of times they'll post pictures of deer and elk and all kinds of stuff, right? And they'll, good campsites and that kind of stuff. So I do kind of do that. Another one, here's Arizona Backpackers. You can go in here and they're posting where they're camping and where they're going. This is a little quick one here. Jason Miller, he's got a YouTube channel. He's got tons. These are all game camera videos. He runs a line of game camera videos, and they're just little straight videos of what he's catching on his game camera in Arizona. Could be interesting, right? You might can get a little bit of information from some of that stuff. Another hiking one. Where's this other one? Oh, here we go. Overland. So I like this one because they talk a lot about like they're doing overland stuff, driving, doing four-wheeling, that kind of thing. But these people will tell you, is this a good road? Is this a good trail? Is this one that's like, you have to have 4x4 to go down it? So these people are really, they're free giving of this information that us as hunters can use to our advantage. So that's the overland one. Here's another Utah camping one, another Arizona camping one, Kodiak canvas tents. Use your imagination here, right? But there's other ways to glean information from the internet other than just rock slide or go hunt or any of that. Something you do not want to pass up is going to the state website and researching what information they have on the state website for their unit. Usually, most states I have found have some type of information out there about all of their hunting units, what's in the unit, and some of them even put, what's the word I'm looking for here? Like, of course, obviously harvest data, but how many animals are in the unit? Is it trending up? Is it trending down? You can find all of that information on those state websites. Go Hunt does a really good job of kind of like collecting all that data and having it in one spot. That's another reason I love using Go Hunt. But don't forget the state websites. Keep in mind again, everybody is looking at that information, right? Everybody's looking at that information. Another little tip that I'll give you is I will go to the state website, not the Game and Fish, like the regular state website, and I'll do a search for vehicle versus animal collisions. And a lot of the states have maps that will show you where the hot spots are for vehicle versus animal collisions. And some of those you can sort by deer and elk and that kind of thing. Now, it doesn't tell you exactly like, that there's deer or elk or something right there. And it could, those collisions are probably happening during migration time and that kind of thing. But what it does tell you is that there's animals in that area that, maybe they're up higher during the hunting season up in the mountains around there. But it does give you some ideas of like, hey, there's a lot of vehicle versus elk collisions on this roadway in this little stretch right here. Pretty good chance in the surrounding area in the hunting season, especially like in September. You look for some of the higher areas around there. Might be a little thing to nudge you into like, hey, maybe this is the area I need to go check out first. Just a little side tip right there. So what do I do with all this information? So I have files you can see here for all the states that I'm interested in. What I do is I take all that information from OnX, from GoHunt, from the state websites, anywhere else that I have gleaned information, and I create a document. And in that document, I put everything that I can about that unit. What GoHunt says about it, what the terrain is. Here is the moon phases for the times that we're looking at going. Historical temperatures, what's it like in that unit during the dates that we're kind of looking at going. Any information that I can glean, I put in here. Right? This is really big. What other hunts are going on in the unit that you're looking at during the time that you're going to be there? So here, they've got another 45 bull elk tags. They've got 25 archery cow tags, which probably won't affect us, but they're giving 150 rifle cow elk tags. So I don't have the deer hunt ones here, but you want to know, is there going to be deer hunters? If you're bordering a state line, what's going on in the units across the state line? So I put all of this information into a Word document. So I'll make a document for every hunt that I'm going with all that information that I can share with my hunting partners, right? But I also, just research-wise, you have every state that I'm interested in hunting here. So I will go and I will research the units that I'm interested in. Here we have Arizona. Anything that I can dig up about these units, I start making a Word document and start putting all of that stuff in this Word document so I can research it later. I told y'all I'm a planner, right? Love planning for stuff. As you can see here here's my 2024 application strategies. Here's my 2025, what I'm already looking for in 2025. I'm a planner. And I love doing this stuff. It's probably why fishing has taken a little bit of a back seat here lately, because I love, in my downtime, just planning and researching and figuring out where we're going next. One other thing before we close out. Post-hunt. So you go on the hunt, you come back. I would highly recommend, this is what I do, I go back into my OnX account. Because when you're on there, you're probably dropping other pins when you're there. And you're able to kind of edit your pins. Delete the ones that were nothing. Go back and edit the ones that were actually something. And a neat little thing. So you can see here. So another thing that I love about OnX. So you see the blue trail? That's our actual path. So you can actually track your path on OnX. So you can go back to that. But right here is where we camped the first night. And, what it allows me to do is I can come in here and I can actually add photographs to it. You also can add notes to this. So it can kind of be your little log when you click on your little icons here. So I think this one, Yes. So here's another one. Water tank that we found. So I wanted to know, I'll actually put the pictures in there. And I think this was another one. Yep, there was a little creek where we found some water. This one, is it this? This one. This one, there was like waterfalls coming down this little thing. You can see the water shooting out here. There was like 4 waterfalls coming down here in this one little area. Of course, it had been raining, so there was a lot of water, but that was an interesting thing, and I wanted to have that marked on there. So go back after your hunt, edit your waypoints, add notes, and add pictures to them. I hope this was helpful to some of y'all that are planning some trips out west. Tag season is pretty much done, as in all the tags have been, or most of the tags have been put out there. So hopefully you have something to plan for. My good friend Andrew posed a question to me one time that sticks with me every time that I'm thinking of this plan. What have you missed? What are you not thinking of? What are the holes in your plan? You got to kind of think outside of the box on some of this stuff. You got to look at, to me, it's are roads closed? Is there access in there? Now, some of that you're not going to know till you get there, right? Another thing that I always look at is, what are the amenities? How far is it away to get gas? Is there a place to get, what's that biggest town? Is there a place to get tires fixed? Is there a place to get auto parts? Is there a hotel? Is there food? Is there an animal check-in that we have to do if we harvest something? Is there somewhere is that an online process, or is there some place that we actually have to go and do that? So, but think outside of the box when you're making these plans too. What's the saying? Every good plan is good until you get punched in the face the first time. You show up on these things and things change. But if you have a plan, you at least have a place to start from. All right, guys and girls, I hope y'all got something out of this. Y'all go out there and catch some fish, do some planning. Hopefully you've got some tags and you need to do some planning. And I'll talk to y'all guys and girls later.